dependable. You can kind of plug and play him anywhere, and he's super smart receiver. Obviously, Sean's his older brother, and then he had that background of a quarterback, so he kind of like just has more football savvy to him, and I think he's really doing a good job of sharing that with the whole room. And he's really made the next step of just consistently making those tough catches and contested catches, just because that's going to be the difference sometimes. Like, we're going to have to throw it in tight coverage, and the receivers are making plays. Julian's been fantastic. Caden's been really good. Amari's been really impressive. He had a really good practice today, very explosive down the field, and he's taken the next step in his progression. So I'm really happy with that whole receiver room.
James said that Tom Allen, he mentioned the wide receiver room in a team meeting. Was that to the whole team? And if so, what did he say to you?
Yeah, it was actually today's team meeting. It was mostly the message of iron sharpens iron. Yesterday, our fast start period was red zone one-on-ones, and receivers came out ready, and they made a lot of contested catches where DBs were draped all over their back and really good coverages and really good positions, and the receivers fought and came down with the catches in the red zone where that's going to be critical in those situations. Like, there's not much space obviously down there, and there's going to be a lot of contested catches, so they did a great job of that. And obviously we have one of the best DB rooms in the country. I don't think people really realize that just because of how much, I guess, turnovers there's been since last season, but there's a lot of young guys in that room where they're going to take the next step this year and play a big role on defense and special teams. So it's really cool to see just them battling with each other, and also just sharing their knowledge with each other, like just talking to each other.
Drew, is there one or two corners who stepped up this camp?
Yeah, I mean, I think AJ Harris. Honestly, like I didn't know AJ Harris was a grade below me. I thought he was my grade. Like, that's just kind of how his approach is and how he carries himself. AJ is a different cat, honestly. Like, his approach to the game and just his technique overall. And then obviously you guys got Cam Miller, like, fantastic. He's consistent as hell on this team. Like, he's one of the hardest workers and most consistent guys on this team. And you got young guys like Zion and Elliott. I'm missing. AC's had a great camp. Like, there's been a lot of corners that are making plays out there.
James said that you could see 8 offensive linemen playing in a game for you guys this season. What is that like for you as a quarterback to have kind of moving pieces up front, and how do you guys kind of build that chemistry?
Honestly, I think the most important thing for me is I don't really notice it, to be honest. Like, I know there's a lot of guys coming in and out, but there's no drop off right now, and I think at that position specifically, like, you need to have depth just because of how much physicalness that there is in the trenches down there, and they're doing a great job of just continuing to grow, continuing to play fast and physical. It's been really cool to see that. But yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is, like, I don't notice when there's a new lineman coming in.
Drew, Mike asked Coach Craven, how do you balance ball security from your point of view with the few interceptions he threw last year, and trying to be more explosive in this offense? How do you balance that as a quarterback?
I think the balance is with Coach K's play calling. I think it kind of starts there of, like, presenting us opportunities to take shots downfield, and then us as quarterbacks, when the shots are there, take them, and obviously take them, complete them, whatever you can do. Sometimes the defense covers it down, does a good job of playing over the top, getting it down to our playmakers in space, because that's where a lot of hidden explosive plays happen. It's like getting it to Nick and Fat 5 yards down the field, and then next thing you know, they're one-on-one with a Mike linebacker at the first down marker. Like, they're going to make a miss most of the time, and that's going to be at least a 12-yard gain. So I think for me specifically too, it's been more meeting with the receivers and kind of getting on the same page with them. I can think specifically today with Skelly, like, I gave Trey a couple like tight windows and he came down with it. It was fantastic coverage by KJ, but I kind of just put it where only Trey can get it, and he did a great job of just coming down with it. And that's been countless other examples of like that throughout camp. So I think it's more of like just being on the same page with them, and then just teaching them with the throws if something doesn't go right, like just, hey, I'm going to throw you there versus that coverage, and them talking to me, hey, what you see on that route or anything like that. So I think there's a lot more dialogue between us, which is really helping that.
How would you describe your trust level with this group of receivers?
I mean, it's really high. Like, I think one of the best things we've been doing, I know I mentioned it at Media Day, but is meeting with the receivers more often. And I think it just, pays a lot of benefits to us as quarterbacks, building our confidence and vocal leadership, and then also with the receivers, them asking questions and them telling me, hey, this is what we're looking to do on this certain route versus this certain coverage or, alignment. And I think that's been really key and critical to our success so far in camp. And obviously we're going to continue to build on it in season. It'll be honestly easier in season to have more meetings like that because you'll have the breakdowns of whatever your opponent runs a lot, and then you'll be able to kind of sit back more and talk dialogue with them about certain routes and coverages. And with how much fast pace we're going right now, it's kind of hard to have those longer meetings. So it's been good so far.
I was going to say, speaking of dialogue, how is the helmet communication going between you and Coach Nittany? And do you feel like that's are there pros and cons to that? And do you feel like it's getting dialed in as camp continues?
There's definitely pros and cons to it because I think really the only con to it is I have to be also looking at the signals too, because obviously it's got to shut off at that 15-second mark. But Coach K has done a great job of getting the play calls in fast enough, and then when we do have kills and checks at the line, just me being disciplined of looking back to the sideline no matter what. But I can also hear him, so he's doing a great job with how many shifts and motions we have of getting the play call in early, so the play clock isn't a factor. So. We're going to experiment with louder music. We've been doing that, starting that this week. I'm going to play with a little bit of the stuff in the NFL, like the foam that they put in the ear hole, just to kind of mess with it and just see what that's like. So, I'm still ongoing experiments really with that.
Drew talked about how great a camp you're having. How do the quarterbacks kind of celebrate each other's successes, knowing that there's always kind of an unspoken competition, but when a guy is really playing well, how do you guys kind of jive that out and work that out?
Yeah, I think we all want to see each other succeed and do well. There's no negativity in our room, which I think makes this a really special room in general. And obviously, Bo's had a great camp, like he said. He's been cool to watch his progression as a passer, and obviously he's an elite playmaker with his feet, so it's been cool to watch that. But I think in the quarterback room as a whole, we love to see each other win and compete, because when we're doing well as a quarterback room, the whole offense is thriving off of that. So I think it's been really cool to see everybody's progression in that room. And obviously Bo's had a great camp, so it's been cool to see that too. But, we all want each other to succeed really well whenever we have our opportunities.
We've heard some good things about how Luke Reynolds has come along physically. How have you seen? What's the biggest change you've seen in him since he got here in January, and what does he bring to that tight end room?
Yeah, obviously just his nature and physicality. I don't know how much he weighed when he got here, but he's had to put on at least 20 pounds of just muscle, and that's what Coach Losi and that staff will do with any kid. But I think he's really finding his groove right now. And that tight end room is really deep. There's a lot of playmakers in that tight end room. Obviously, everybody knows Ty Warren, and he's going to be Mr. Dependable and Mr. Consistent out there. But there's a lot of young tight ends in that room that have really taken the next step in that progression. And specifically Luke, he had a fantastic practice today. And I think really him, Rapp, and Joey, and Dink, and Jerry, just do a really good job of man coverage of getting flat and friendly for us. And I think, that kind of starts with Coach Howell in that room. He's a great coach. I love being around Coach Howell, but Luke seems a lot more comfortable in the offense because honestly, behind quarterback, tight end's probably the hardest position to learn in this playbook, just because of how many responsibilities you have in the run and pass game and tags that you have to know. So it's been really cool to see his development physically and mentally these past 7 months or however long he's been on campus.
Drew, do you have to fight frustration or encourage the guys sometimes when the guys on the other side of the ball just make a great play? You've got great players over on that side. How do you manage that when something like that happens?
Yeah, honestly, that's been my goal. I've been talking to Danny and Coach Franklin a lot. Obviously, we wouldn't rather have it any other way. We're going against what's going to be a top defense in the country again. Honestly, our D-line just makes it like a living hell on us as quarterbacks and offensive line, just with how much talent and depth they have up front. But we wouldn't rather have it any other way, just with the amount of pressure they apply and just how good they are. But I think the biggest thing for us is learning how to bounce back when things don't go our way, because you're going to have a bad play, a bad series, but you can't have bad quarters and halves. And I think we're doing a really good job of that right now as an offense, of just bouncing back faster and learning how to wash the last play, because honestly that's a really hard skill to develop, is washing that last play, whether good or bad. I think we talk about being a thermostat versus a thermometer, and I think as a quarterback locker room, we're doing a really good job of that. When something doesn't go right, we're getting the guys back rallied and ready to go, and it's been paying off because like in my first 2 years here, I don't think we really had that. And really last year, just me being a first-time starter, like learning how to bounce back quicker was something I kind of struggled with because I kind of dwell on things when things didn't go my way. And I think I've done a better job of learning how to flush that, and then just whenever I go back and watch the film, just learning from that. So I think that's the biggest thing that we've taken a step in as an offense through these past 4 or 5 practices, really. So it's been really cool to see, and obviously the defense is going to get us on some plays just because that's how football goes and that's how talented they are. So it's been really fun competing against them, and I'm just looking forward to, competing against them with however many practices we have left in fall camp.
Thanks.
Thanks, Drew.